Hi, I'm Liz Larson with The Art of Frosting. Welcome back. I'm here again with some cake decorating basics. I'm really excited to show you this one. This idea came from our YouTube friend, Victoria. She wanted to know how to make a cake with ice cream sandwiches. Well, my answer was, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out. So this whole cake is made out of ice cream sandwiches. There's really no cake in here. There is some ganache and some raspberry filling, but no cake. I think it's going to be really delicious. I added on some quick borders. You guys have been asking for some more elaborate borders, but we needed to work fast to get this cake done before it melted. So let's get started. Before we get started, I just want to show you what I'm using here. I'm just using a box. These are called Sammy's, but it's just regular rectangular shaped ice cream sandwiches that I'm using. I want to peel them off and put them onto a tray and let them freeze down again before I start with them. That way they don't melt during the peeling process and then I'm already starting with melted ice cream sandwiches. So you really want your ice cream sandwiches to be really frozen down before we get started. I just pulled my ice cream sandwiches out of the freezer so they're really nice and frozen. I peeled them and put them on the tray and then put them back in the freezer while I mixed up my icings. And you can see I've got 4 and I'm coming just a little short here on this one. So I'm just going to take my bench knife and cut a little sliver off and stick it on there. So I've got my raspberry filling, which is simply just some raspberry preserves and my whipped topping or heavy whipping cream. You use about a cup of heavy whipping cream or whipped topping to about 2 or 3 tablespoons of your preserves and go from there. This is going to give us a yummy truffle taste. I'm going to pour a little ganache on here. You guys remember that ganache is just a little heavy whipping cream and some dark chocolate chips. But you really can't have an ice cream cake without ganache. I think you can't almost have anything without ganache. I'm going to start on this side, come back across. We want to work quickly, leaving just a little space between for our filling. You also could add any kind of filling you want here. Mint would also be really yummy. So for that you would just add to your heavy whipping cream or your whipped topping just some mint flavoring. You could even add maybe some chocolate chips and make it mint chocolate chip. Okay, so I am built and I basically want to come in now and smooth. This would be like my crumb ice. What I'm doing is I'm filling in the gaps around the outside with the leftover icing. Now, if you have not worked very, very quickly, you might want to put this back in the freezer before icing. I think we've worked quite quickly and we can ice. You guys have seen me ice a cake before, so I'm using my icing to make sure I'm nice and level. And square. And I'm using the leftovers on the side to put on a quick crumb ice. Filling in even a little bit more of my gaps. And this is where this quick icer comes in super handy. I'm not having to push on my tower of ice cream sandwiches, which is great. And I'm also able to establish a nice corner. This is where my handy dandy drywall tool comes in easy because this is a nice tall cake. It's a little taller than my regular bench knife. These really tall drywall tools come from the hardware store. They're just a few pennies. Of course, you can always use your traditional bench knife. I want to pay close attention to our corners here. Where a corner isn't quite enough icing, go ahead and add just a tiny bit there. And you want to come back in with your bench knife and pull away from your corners. square can actually be quite difficult to ice. The corners are more difficult than you think to get straight. Just keep moving around your cake until you get it the way you want it. After a little work, we end up with a nice tall cube, and we want to get that back in the freezer for at least 15 minutes or so to freeze down. While we do that, we will make our candy melt lace. I'm using the back of a cookie sheet like I often do, and I'm just using my drywall tool here, or you could use a bench knife, something that you know for sure has a right angle. And I'm just marking out my little right angles so that when I make my candy melt or royal icing designs, then I know that I have a nice right angle to put it on, and I can gauge my shape here. So I want to make, I'm going to make about 16 of these just so I have enough. But I also want to show you that you can play around with the design a little bit, like I've done here. Here I've just used some S's and embellished those a little bit to see if I like that design. On here I'm just using a nice fan. I think I kind of like the fan effect to go with my pan. So basically I'm just making loops, long narrow loops that come back to the center like this. And I think I'm going to put 2 lines around just to make it a little more modern. So I decided to save a little time, and what I did was I just flipped my sheet of parchment over. I've just got a number 4 writer here, and I'm going to go ahead and lay down my angle there and then just start dropping a line with my loops. See, I'm not actually sketching it, I'm just letting the line drop. That is called dropping a line. Now I said I wanted to put 2 arcs over it. Same technique, just dropping a line, and that also gives me a little bit of strength and a little more detail. My cake's now been in the freezer for about 15 minutes while I'm working on my little medallions. And I just want to come back in and kind of lightly mark with my skewer into thirds here. We are going to use pillars and garlands to decorate our cake. So I'm marking for the width between my garlands here. I'm coming in with my number 23 star tip, the one I always use. And I'm going to make pillars up the side. So pillars start with my bag straight up and down. I'm just going to squeeze, 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 get my base, and then come straight up the side. And I want to stop at about 2/3. So once again, a big base, and come straight up, lighter and lighter pressure control. Now remember that we need to work quickly, so I've chosen borders that'll give us a lot of bang for our buck, cover a lot of space. And pillars are one of those. I'm going to fill in here with my little U shape. So I've got basically a rosette, a U, and a rosette. I want to cap my pillars with a little rosette. It's just a squeeze and a rotate of the wrist. I'm going to add a garland here on the side to tie my pillars together. And I'm also going to add a garland that echoes it on the top. It's a really interesting border, especially on a square cake. I want to show you here that on my sides my garlands are a little smaller. I've just changed slightly my pressure control to make them a little more narrow. But I still wanted to mimic my 3 here. And the same on the top. I'm going to come in here, I'm still going to get my full circle, but it's going to be a little bit smaller, and I need to just fit it in here with my other garland. See, I've got kind of a Greek goddess going here. At this stage, you really could add flowers or any other things that you want. We're going to add on our medallions now. I'm just peeling them lightly off of paper. And then I just gotta fit them on here. Again, you're probably gonna get some breakage. Don't worry about that. Hopefully you've made a lot of them. And what I want to do here is I want to put them in just on the sides to start, and then decide whether or not I want it on the corners. I decided to go ahead and leave them off the corners. I thought it might be a little bit much, and I'm going to leave it at that. I've got all this color going on down here. I don't want to add more, but you always could. You could always add a little string work, but I'm going to leave it just like that. So I hope this cake gets your guys' wheels turning. It got mine turning. We can make all kinds of ice cream cake with all kinds of ice cream sandwiches, all kinds of flavors, all kinds of shapes. So you guys make sure and give me your feedback. Let me know what you did with this idea. I also hope you enjoyed learning some of these quick borders that come together in a pretty elaborate looking cake. This is a fun dessert cake, would be great for a little girl or just to take to a dinner party and have people be really impressed. So again, you guys can find me at The Art of Frosting on Facebook, where I share my work, Leah's work, and lots of your work. Thanks for sending your stuff in, guys. I really love seeing it. Also, you can find me at my blog, www.theartoffrosting.blogspot.com. Please don't forget to share and like us. It really helps a lot. And subscribe. It's free. See you all again soon with more. Bye.